What is up, everybody? Welcome to this Trainwreck Sports episode where we are not here to, I don't even know, not here to work. It's Friday afternoon. We're not here to play school. We're here to talk college football. It's not here to play school. Back again, week 5, a big week. Jake Majka joined by my brother and co-host Alex Majka. Huge week in college football for us to come back to here. Week 5 has a ton of big matchups. Let's get it started right away. Let's not waste any time. Let's get going right away. The big game of the week in the Big Ten, Saturday night, NBC, number 6 Oregon, traveling to Happy Valley to take on number 3 Penn State. Penn State 3.5-point favorites. 53.5 is the total for this game. What are we thinking?
On a day of like big games, it's the biggest game, which is like a kind of a dumb thing to say, but it's the truth. It's the whiteout, which is, as anyone will tell you, it's the best environment in college football that you can possibly experience. It's game day this week, which I'm glad that game day chose to go there instead of doing like another SEC game. It should be a top 5 matchup. I don't know why Oregon slid last week to knock them out of the top 5. It didn't really make a lot of sense. Like they were pretty dominant against Oregon State, a rival, for most of that game, and then for whatever reason they just dropped out. I got a conspiracy theory for why that happened, but we don't have to get into that. But
no, what's your conspiracy theory?
My conspiracy theory is because there's the extreme narrative and partially true narrative that James Franklin can't beat top 5 teams. And so coming into this game, where even if they win this game now, Penn State, then it's not a winner against a top 5 opponent. So it's still, the narrative still holds true. And they're doing that. They're doing it purposefully to bash on my boy.
On James Franklin. This is just all to take out James Franklin. Okay. All right. I like it.
Yeah. But no, it's huge. It's two teams that played each other last year in the Big Ten championship game. Oregon came away the winner in that, but both made the college football playoff. Oregon lost to eventual national champion Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Penn State made it a little bit farther than them. They made it to the semifinal, losing to Notre Dame, eventual runner-up. So two programs who are hungry, who tasted that playoff last year and want to get back, obviously, and are contending for not just the Big Ten championship, but obviously a national championship also. It's what else do you want, on a Saturday night?
Well, yeah, and it's very interesting, like the fact that this isn't the first time these two teams will meet as Big Ten foes. They did meet in the Big Ten championship game last year, which was a surprise because Ohio State couldn't handle their business against Michigan again last year, which allowed Penn State to sneak into this game. And then it was a fun game. It was a competitive game, a high-scoring affair. We got this total set at 53.5. A lot of it talk is going to be about the quarterbacks coming into this game and coming out of this game, especially if you're like an NFL fan looking at draft prospects and anything else. Dante Moore stepping onto the scene with Oregon, getting a lot of hype early, but this is really obviously his biggest test going into this kind of road environment. And Drew Allaire, who's we've seen a lot of, right? Like this is a lot of
third year as a starter.
And just waiting to see him have, I think this could be like a chance to be a signature moment where he catapults himself in just the minds of casual fans and in NFL fans and probably in draft circles too, as the guy of this class, because that spot is up for grabs right now, honestly. And there's a lot of guys we'll see that we'll talk about today on this show that are going to be in that conversation. But these two, the quarterbacks, are going to be the story of it. But what do you think that they are the biggest factor going into this game for either team, or what do you see as the biggest key to this game for a win for Penn State and a key to this game for Oregon to get a win?
Well, the key for Penn State is the offense needs to not start slow. We've seen that 3 out of the last 4 weeks because they were off. They were off last week for whatever reason, early season bye that they had. But we saw them not completely, but start slow against Nevada, FIU. They started really slow, and then against Villanova, and that's not cream of the crop competition at all. I think it's where if you look at those games, they're using these different receivers that they all just got in different packages, and they're using them different ways. And Andy Kotelnicki was using them in different different like play calls for different guys like that he wasn't showing week to week. I think just to first just try things out with these new guys and see where they were lined up and get Drew acclimated to having 3 brand new wide receivers. But also to not really have as much on tape for Oregon. Like the biggest thing, like Singleton and K-Tron, which we need. Singleton hasn't been able to break a big one yet. He's been struggling with that. They gave him a lion's share of carries 2 weeks ago against Villanova to try to get his mojo going, to try to get him up. He's still scoring from the goal line. That's good, but he hasn't broken a big one, not like K-Tron has so far this year. So they're trying to get him going, but really it's like they're just not putting anything on tape for Oregon that they can, like anything major. And it's been pretty like vanilla play calling too. Not the same stuff we were seeing last year out of Kotelnicki. So they just got to not start slow. And the defense, big thing, it's Jim Knowles played this Oregon team and Dan Lanning's, this offense twice last year. And they lost in Oregon in a very close game, which a game that they possibly could have won if Will Howard slides a second earlier, is able to get a timeout. And then a game where they completely demolished Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And that's obviously partially because of the offense and the high-powered offense that Ohio State had. But it's also the defense was impressive. And Ohio State fans say, well, that wasn't Jim Knowles' defense. Of course, the game where they do good, it's not Jim Knowles' defense. It's always something else. But if he could come out and these corners and safeties they have, Zachy Wheatley and AJ Harris, these guys who are going to be contending for first, second round picks, if they can come out and they can shut down the DeCorian Moore, who is the star receiver for Oregon, he's a true freshman, 5-star guy. He's got 207 yards already this season on only 12 catches. And if they can take out Bay, the tight end, who had 2 touchdowns against Penn State last year in the Big Ten championship game, if the linebackers are able to cover him, or if you're able to get the corners on him, either way, then it's a whole different ballgame. Because if you can take away that threat and then you have to worry about the run game, I'm not worried about a team trying to run against Penn State. They have a stout 4 and they have good linebackers. So and these corner safeties haven't been tested yet. So that's the way I see it for Penn State trying to win. Oregon, I mean, they want to come out fast. It's kind of the same thing as Penn State, where the offense got to start fast. Oregon's offense got to start fast too. And if they punch, Penn State in the mouth and they go up 7-0 really quick, and Penn State all of a sudden, we're down 7-0, they don't score on that ensuing drive. It's kind of what happened in the Big Ten championship game. Penn State was playing catch up the entire time. So I mean, they got to do that. They have a good defensive front. Mateo Uyunglele, DJ's brother, is a really good outside linebacker. He's got 3 sacks so far in the season. He's only getting better these last couple of years he's been at Oregon. So he'll be a factor. It's interesting. Oregon's just like a really well-built team, and everyone's talking about, oh my God, they're so good. This offense is so amazing. If you look at the 4 teams that they beat in this year, though, it's not anything crazy. You have the massive win against Oklahoma State week 2. They beat Montana State week 1, so an FCS opponent. They beat Oklahoma State week 2, a team that is 1-2, and their only win is against an FCS opponent. They lost to Tulsa last week, and they just fired their head coach. So is Oklahoma State really a good team? Well, yet to be seen. And then they beat Northwestern on the road, but that was their closest game they played, was against a Northwestern defense and on the road. And what you could call as a hostile environment, nothing like the whiteout, and not nearly as like talented of a defense that Penn State has. And that was 31-14. And then last week they ended up winning against Oregon State, rivalry game, but that was at home. And that game was close in the first half. And that's the lower competition. Oregon State hasn't won a football game all year. So is Oregon as like amazing as everyone's saying they are? Maybe. But it's honestly, to me, I think it's yet to be seen.
It is. And I think that this being the first start on the road for Dante Moore and just the unprovenness of this offense and everything else is a tough hill to climb. This is not the environment you want to go into, especially like you said, the defense on Penn State's side is for real. Like it's going to be that. I honestly think that 45-37 score from last year, I don't feel like we're even going to get close to that this year, just with the way that this environment will be, the type of game I think Penn State's going to want it to be anyways, with the way they're going to kind of call the game offensively and just the way their defense plays. I would imagine this is under. Let's get to our picks here. I think Oregon, it's 3.5. I think Oregon's going to cover, and that's where they're going to sneak a lot of things here. But I do think Penn State will win this game by a field goal. I'll go 24-21. Penn State getting the win.
I'm gonna say that Penn State covers. but I think it's like same thing, very very close. But I'll say 28-21.
Okay.
That's what I think 28-21. Obviously a close game. Probably gonna be some turnovers. That's the thing too of this. Dante Moore was not really turned over the ball. He's got 1 pick on the year. Same thing. Drew Adler's got 1 pick. But both teams playing very safe. This is the thing. The secondary hasn't been tested for Penn State, and they got some ball hawks back there. Like Zachy Wheatley could easily come up with a couple of interceptions. It's it all depends. Right now, the leading interceptions for Penn State are 2 of their defensive tackles have 1. the first 2 weeks of the year, and then Jameer Joseph, who's a freshman corner last year, had a pick six, or freshman corner this year had a pick 6 2 weeks ago in garbage time against Villanova. So the secondary, it's gonna be interesting to see what they could do. I agree with you. It's gonna be, it's gonna be close, but that's what you want out of this game though. And like you said, the environment is different. It's tripped up a lot of really good teams before trying to come in there and play. So
it's going to be a really exciting. Just still kind of jarring to see this be a Big Ten matchup in September, whiteout game, Oregon coming to Penn State. But hey, this is what realignment has brought us. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you see what their tight end? I can't remember his first name. It's his last name Sadiq, but it's it's like Kayon Sadiq, and he's like, oh, Coach Lanning told us, he's like, the reason it's the whiteout, it's because it's us. That's like a boost of confidence, and it's like, well, it's the whiteout because it's the only night game Penn State had on the schedule. Like the last couple of years, the whiteout game has not been like the best opponent that they've had at home. Like
it wasn't Ohio State last year. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't Ohio State
at home, but it was noon. Like it's last year they used Washington. Washington was not a good team, so his logic there isn't the best. But I get what he's saying. Anything, guys got to find ways to hype themselves up even more than what the moment is, and that's
really the only other whiteout option would have been November against Indiana, and I'm assuming that'll be a big noon kickoff. So that's probably why they avoided that one. So it's not the same as it used to be with the whiteout, where they were picking and choosing, had more leeway. Chalk another one up to big noon kickoff, ruining college football. But I digress. Let's get into a game that kicks off at noon tomorrow on big noon kickoff. USC traveling. Now, Lincoln Riley, I have some words for Lincoln Riley here. Lincoln Riley complaining about in a press conference this week, or in media availability, complaining that they had to play at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time last week against Michigan State, and turn around to play this early noon kickoff, which would be, 11. It'll be 11 a.m. Central Time in Champaign, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. And to that I say, wouldn't it be nice if you were just in a conference with, 10, 11 other teams who are in the same region, same time zone, and you just play all those teams, and then you play all the West Coast teams, and you don't have to wake up early or go out or play late in a game to have your night game and it affecting yourself, Right. Who would have thought? Just a concept, just something to throw out there to college football and USC and everybody else. Like, it all could be so simple. So this is what you signed up for, SC. When you decided to go to the Big Ten, you're going to have to play some early kicks in the Midwest when you don't want to. Now, coming to face this Illinois team, after what I thought Illinois, I didn't know if they were going to be a playoff team. I thought they'd be like an 8-9 win team that 9 wins might be just stretch after what we saw last week. Now, also maybe Indiana is just a wagon again, and maybe Fernando Mendoza is going to be the Heisman, and they're just going to dominate everybody. But what an embarrassing effort by the Illini on the road at Indiana last week, 66-10 loss. So they come in licking their wounds here against an SC team who has been lighting it up. Todd McShay on his podcast this week said that he thinks SC is the sleeping giant right now. He thinks that 21 is probably just too low, just because they started out, unranked and everything else, but that they are going to be one of the best teams in college football this year. The offense has looked the part. They put up 73 and 59 the first 2 weeks against, FCS, low FBS opponents. They put up 33 at Purdue in that game. That was weird that, weren't there a bunch of delays and such during that game?
I think there was rain delays in the game, and that was what, I think it was close in the first half, and then delays, and then USC just pulled away with it.
Pulled away there, and then 45 points last week against Michigan State. It's a 60.5 point total here. They're 6.5 point favorites against Illinois, and this starts a crazy stretch because they play this game at Illinois, then they're host to Michigan, and then it's the rivalry game against Notre Dame. So really, this stretch defines their season. It's the toughest stretch of the year before they have to go to Oregon, second to last game of the year. So we're going to learn a lot about SC to see if they're a real contender. But if they come out of this stretch 3-0, even 2-1, they're going to be up high in the rankings and be a team that we talk about as a playoff contender going forward. You got to start here, but this game looked a lot more exciting on paper before you saw the results from last week. 6.5 point favorites on the road for SC. Vegas feels like they're going to smack this Illinois team, and they didn't like what they saw from them. That's
I think Illinois' defense. I think they just think it must be cooked. Honestly,
yeah.
No matter what you have with their offense, like Luke Altmaier still is playing like solid football. 70% completion percentage on the season. He's got like 9 touchdown passes. But they must just think that defense is shot and that they don't have any chance. And especially like against USC's offense, which is playing really well. You mentioned that game, it's like 45-31. They were in command most of that game, and Michigan State kind of like came back a little bit in the second half, around like 1 a.m. We were still up watching it. But it was Jordan Mailata, or excuse me, not Jordan, Jaden Mailata, their quarterback, got starting time last year. He played in like 4 games, and it's obviously working out well. He's limited any turnovers. He had 6 last year. In the 4-game stretch he played. He played against Notre Dame last year in a high-scoring game, which they lost, but he didn't look terrible. Had a couple interceptions, and then they beat a ranked A&M team last year in a bowl game, where again he had some interceptions, but had 4 touchdown passes. And right now he's taking care of the ball. Their running back, Waymond Jordan, he's almost at 8 yards a carry right now. He's got 433 yards, only like 3 touchdowns in the season. But if he's picking up 8 yards a clip, I mean, there's nothing really you can do to slow down this offense if they're all firing on cylinders like that. But I would take USC in this game. I would take that 7, honestly. Even with
I was gonna say
the crazy like jump and like schedule like shift that they had, like Lincoln Riley mentioned. I would still take them.
I agree. And I really didn't want to go too deep into this game, but more wanted to bring it up for start fading Illinois and start paying attention a little bit to USC. I think SC is going to be in this conversation with the Big Ten elites this year. I think Lincoln's got that program rolling where they want him, the offense rolling where they want them. And this is an opportunity to make a statement, and then a big game against Michigan. Like, it's going to be a lot of attention on SC in the coming weeks. And then obviously the Notre Dame game is a big game too. I think they have, I wasn't looking directly at their schedule. I think they have a bye in between there. Let me see here quick. Yeah, so they're on a bye next week, and then it's home to Michigan, at Notre Dame, back-to-back weeks. So we'll learn a lot.
At Notre Dame, makes it a little harder, but
it makes it a little harder, yeah. But and they also go to Oregon, second to last game of the year. So we'll see what happens. But I think SC is gonna put on a show tomorrow at noon on national TV for the folks.
I'm gonna say 35-14.
I like that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something. Yeah, I was gonna say 38-14. Honestly, so we're in the same boat here. I think it'll be a pretty easy for SC. Here's another interesting one though. The Buckeyes, Ohio State, number 1, traveling across the country to Husky Stadium to take on Washington, both 3-0 teams. It is Ohio State's first trip to Husky Stadium since when, Mo? Do you know when?
Ooh. I'm going to say like 91.
91?
Yeah.
A little earlier than it actually was. 2007 was the last time they traveled there. The Buckeyes finished number 5 that year, led by Jim Tressel. They went to Washington week 3 and won. It was a big game. I believe it might have been game day. I'm not sure. 33-14 win for the Buckeyes there.
Which you know what? 2007, that must have just been a big Big Ten, Pac-12 at the time crossover, because that was also the last time Illinois and USC played each other. It was 2007.
Oh, okay.
But that was in the Rose Bowl, actually. Now that I say it, but either way,
and that
was
was one of the craziest college football years. Is that 2007 year? Ohio State lost in the national championship that year. Ohio State also played Kent State that year, won 48-3. Little fun fact there. Only 3 points. Come on, Kent. What are you guys doing? First trips to 2007. The Buckeyes are 23-3 in true road games under Ryan Day, which is pretty crazy. But Washington has not lost since late 2021. And I can't remember the exact week, but it's 2021 since they last lost at Husky Stadium. They are a tough team to beat there. And this is Julian Saint's we're talking about road starts for Dante Moore. Tough road start for Julian Saint to come into here. Husky State, like we said, Husky Stadium is a tough environment to go into. And I don't know, 9.5 feels like a lot. Maybe I haven't watched a lot of Washington, admittedly, this year. So maybe this team just isn't, maybe they just don't have the firepower to keep up with this Buckeye offense if they really get rolling. But it's weird. It's weird when you got to do these cross-country games. It's weird to go. It's tough to play in Seattle. It always has been. I feel like this could be close. And the Washington offense will be able to put up if they can. The Patricia defense and Ohio State's defense has been impressive. Obviously, we saw what they did against Texas week 1. Everybody was like, "Oh, like, what are we going to see? Like, is this what it's going to be like all year?" But then we've seen what Arch Manning and Texas's offenses look like since then. It's like, okay, what is this Ohio State defense actually? Well, Washington puts up 530 yards a game, 536, top 10 in the country right now. So they're going to get tested. That defense, regardless, the total is 52.5. It's going to be interesting. I really think this game is – I'm really excited to see just the environment and see how Washington comes out and really see how Julian Saint and Ohio State respond to this kind of big road test early in the year. Like, this is number 1 team in the country we'll talk about rankings a little bit, and you mentioned them a little bit earlier. We're still in the point of the year where the rankings are just – who knows, like, what the hell their reasoning is for all these things. So, they're number 1 on paper. I don't think Ohio State necessarily is the best team in the country. And this will show a lot to seeing how they respond at this big road game. But how are you feeling about this game going into it?
I mean, I've seen all this stuff all week. People talking about it's like the sea of purple that they're going to come into, going in, playing against Washington. I didn't realize it was since 2021. Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
That's going back. We were talking about Dante Moore coming, Julian Saint. I mean, we talked about even beginning of the year, Arch Manning, his first real test too. And you saw how he had to perform in this. That was a noon game, in Columbus, and how he had to work through it. So big test. They obviously have an insanely high powered offense, but the defense outside of that Texas game, is it really like something like to write on? Like, look at what Ohio did and kept that game so close. And Julian Saint's like putting up good numbers still, and his completion percentage is really high. But is that like more of a factor because you have the best receivers in the country more than anything else? Like, you have Jeremiah Smith and you have Tate. Yeah. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Same thing with like their defense. Is Matt Patricia a good defensive coordinator, or do they just have insane talent on the ball? That's what I feel like more so it is than anything else. Like, obviously, like a crazy turnover last year, they took a lot of guys into that like NFL. But you still have Caleb Downs, who is arguably like the best defensive player in the country. So if you, with like all those factors, like, is Julian Saint really good? Is Matt Patricia really good? Washington's putting up numbers. 9.5 is wild. Especially, we saw this Ohio State team last year. I'm not saying that Washington is the same as Oregon, but we saw this Ohio State team last year come across the country and lose. Same thing. I mean, same travel distance pretty much from, to Eugene, like Seattle, probably a little farther to Seattle, actually, because they're on the coast. So I don't know. I think it's bold to have 9.5. Washington didn't have a great season last year, but are probably going to end up as like a ranked team this year. And who knows, if things go right in the Big Ten, maybe they keep on winning, and if they win a game like this, then they're going to be in the playoff contention too. So I don't want to call it an upset, but I think 9.5 is crazy. I would keep it like, I'm going to say like 38-31.
Yeah, I'm going to go even closer. I'm going to say 30-27 Buckeyes, and I think that this is a very scary game for the Buckeyes on the road. I think this Washington team, they can get up and down the field. It's the first real defensive test that the Buckeyes will see. So maybe they'll have some stuff to figure out as it goes along, but it honestly might be the toughest defensive test of the year, looking at the rest of their schedule, depending on how Penn State's offense bores out over the next couple weeks and everything else. But other than that, their schedule, Ohio State's schedule is like, especially with the way Illinois, like we just kind of poo-pooed on them and got rid of them.
Do they play Indiana?
Really, they don't play Indiana. Their stretch, I mean, after this week, it's home to Minnesota, which Minnesota's a solid team, but nothing to write home about. At Illinois, which who knows what's going to happen with that team. At Wisconsin, which is just falling apart at the seams. Then they get Penn State at home, and then it's at Purdue, home to UCLA, home to Rutgers. Like just a nothing stretch in between Penn State and Michigan. So
yeah, this
is if they're going to slip up at any point for the Penn State game, this feels like the best chance. And that maybe that seems crazy with a ranked Illinois still on the schedule, but we just saw what a ranked Illinois, like I already saw proof of concept for the ranked Illinois team. So I'm good there. Like we're going to learn something about this Washington team, and just this road environment and traveling cross country has proven to trip these Big Ten teams up, whether it be one way or the other. So let's see what happens here. Let's go. We're going down south. It's time. We got two big games down south here. We're going to start. We'll start with the earlier one. And the team that I think is still incredibly overrated. And Vegas agrees with me, Mo.
I'm buffering a little bit.
That's all right. You're doing good.
Only 1.5 point favorites? Yeah.
Just the fact that LSU is the underdog in this game here at number 13 Ole Miss. Now, it is a tough road game. It's a rivalry game, everything else. But when you look at the spread later on, it's also pretty close. But just the Ole Miss and LSU story here. LSU is number 4 in the country right now, right?
Yes.
We're supposed to believe that they're one of the top 4 teams in the country.
Yes.
They were a top 10 team to start the year, and we were supposed to understand that Garrett Nussmeier and this offense was going to be high flying. He was a Heisman candidate, whatever else. They beat what now looks like a bad Clemson team.
A very bad Clemson team.
Very bad Clemson team, 17-10. So not really anything to write home about there. Defense is now the thing is LSU's led by their defense this year, which as we walk through the schedule, we'll understand. Very unimpressive 23-7 win over Louisiana Tech. 20-10 against Florida, where they get 5 picks, but how much of that is your defense and how much of that is just DJ Lagway is just not good? And DJ Lagway didn't look good last week.
Also 5 interceptions.
Miami either.
5 interceptions. The offense only puts up 13 points because one of them was a pick six.
Yes. And then they played Southeast Louisiana last week, which might as well just be FCS Southeast and college football game. I didn't even like it. It looks like a made up logo. No offense to Southeast Louisiana. They put up some points, 56-10. But here's your second road game of the year. You're playing a rival. They just haven't looked like that's the problem with the preseason rankings. This team has not looked like the 4th best team in the country. And now they'll get a test though. They'll get an extreme test at Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is a favorite right now. Obviously, we've got, we know what I keep trying to say Ole Miss. I keep trying to say LSU when I mean Ole Miss. We know what Ole Miss is going to bring. We know what the Lane Kiffin offense is going to be. They're going to try to have big explosive plays down the field. The total on this game is 50. I believe we're at 55.5 now. I think it climbed up 57.5. It started at 54.5. So the total just keeps going up. And this LSU team hasn't shown that they can score like that with a team like this. And on the road, like just I've this, and we've talked about it on here. I've been weary of this LSU team all year long. Is this like a situation where we're just going to swap these rankings after this? Like, is Ole Miss actually just the better team, and they get the team at home this week, and the preseason rankings are making people think differently about this game? Not Vegas, obviously, but
I mean, it's possible. Ole Miss hasn't overly impressed me this year either. They've been kind of steadily sliding up the rankings too a little bit. they weren't like I wouldn't say they were like overranked going into this year. They lost obviously Jackson Dart. They lost a lot of talent in the NFL last year, and they were a team looking outside of the playoff because it's obviously like a very tough conference that they have to be playing in a lot of times, but or I should say like a loaded top of the conference. But they can put up points, and if the over is climbing that much, then it's obviously that Vegas doesn't have trust in LSU's defense. It's just
Yeah.
because they played a DJ, like they had 5 picks. Oh, it's because they played DJ Lagway. It's not because they are like this some elite unit. They have a defensive end, Gabriel Relaford, who just got Brian Kelly just announced yesterday out for the rest of the season, torn rotator cuff. And obviously like college is like so weird because you have so many guys on the team. So it's not like if like Nick Bosa just got announced that he's out for the rest of the year towards ACL, which obviously that sucks. But it's not the same level as your started like defensive end that you only have so many on your NFL roster. But still, it's a rotational guy who was getting reps is out for the year. That's not ideal. So that's all. LSU's coming in already a little bit banged up. I don't know if it would be a full swap for Ole Miss. I don't know if they would jump to 4, but they obviously would slide into the top 10 after a win. The real story of this game is, I'm sure you've seen it, is about Landry Kiffin. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Yes.
Please let the people know.
Lane Kiffin's daughter went Instagram official, I believe it was Instagram official, with West Weeks. Is it West Weeks or Whit Weeks? One of the Weeks brothers from
I don't know which one, but
one of the Weeks brothers at linebacker, I believe, from LSU. And people are like, is this all just like to get inside Lane's head? Like, it's like this guy's just dating his daughter, or is like she like a secret, like an agent sent by Lane, date this guy? It's all
from what I've heard, and this is from Bomani Jones and Spencer Hall on their podcast, is that Lane has said that Landry is basically his twin. Like basically like they are the same person. And Lane's a troll. So I think she sought out this man just to piss off her father in a way, at least deep down somewhere. I don't think it's anything to help Ole Miss, that's for sure. I think there's just a little bit of like ha 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 going on here as much as anything else. Strange though, very weird. The South SEC, man, this is a weird place down there. I don't know.
The SEC is a weird place. And speak. So I guess this is a good time to talk about it. The SEC announced this week some set rivalries and changes to the conference. Did you see about this?
Okay, no, I didn't.
So because they're talking about going to 9 conference games, instead of the 8 that they've been playing, there are going to be some set rivalries that each team has, and so like Ole Miss. The biggest one, honestly, I should say, it's LSU and Alabama will not be playing each other every year anymore. That's the biggest change. At least one of the things. Now they said it's after 2029 that it's going to be reassessed and they might move these teams out. But for the next 4 years, and Lane Kiffin was talking about it that he didn't agree with it, is Ole Miss and Oklahoma are going to play each other every year for the next 4 years. And he's like, I don't know why we're doing that. He's like, our fan base and their fan base, our cultures, they're nothing alike. He's like, what do we have in common besides that we play football? He's like, I don't agree with that. This is happening at all. But it's like there's some other like rivalries that are lost because of like Georgia and Auburn are still happening, with the Iron Bowl obviously stopping. Like the biggest rivalries still taking place. But one of the ones that I saw is LSU and Bama. That's no longer happening.
I'm looking at this list, and it is like Bama and Mississippi State. Like that's a big game for Mississippi State for sure to have on their schedule and have a home game like that. Probably opposite years, like they'll have Ole Miss at home or Bama at home. So I could see why they do that. But yeah, Oklahoma playing Ole Miss, like the A&M. I guess they want to keep that A&M LSU. Like that was A&M came in and that was the rivalry. They gave it right away because they're part of this. But Oklahoma should just be playing A&M instead of that, instead of LSU.
I saw that the Lone Star Showdown is staying. So it's Texas and A&M is staying. Obviously, Oklahoma and Texas is staying. I don't know who Texas's third is, but maybe Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah, and Arkansas still views Texas as like their rival, their main rival. So that's
still a big game. Yeah.
Interesting.
So no, it's interesting. No, it's similar to what the Big Ten did a couple years ago, or now 2 years ago, because when they added all these teams from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, it's everyone, not even everyone. There's no only some people got set rivalries. Like some schools didn't at all. Like Penn State doesn't have any set rivalries that they have every single year, which I think is a little ridiculous. I think everyone should have got at least one. Obviously, they played Ohio State last year. They play them again this year, but then they don't play them for a stretch. They haven't played Michigan at all the last 2 years. They play Michigan State this year. One of the only teams that they have like a conference, like or not a conference, like a rivalry trophy with, but they didn't play them last year. So it's odd. I guess I'd like the SEC doing it where at least it's 3 teams and some of them make a lot of sense. I don't know, Kiffin. Maybe you'll learn to have a nice rivalry with Oklahoma. Maybe your differences will unite you. I don't know.
That's what it doesn't seem like it's like to like start a rivalry, Lane. Live a little. Yeah. You know, maybe this is the start of something beautiful. All right, what's the
well? Who are Ole Miss's other teams they got? Do you see it there?
LSU and Mississippi State. So I mean, they get their 2 major rivals. Yeah. I don't know who else you would like. That's the thing is Ole Miss is kind of left like there's not a third team for them, which is I think why they gave Oklahoma to them because they're like, well, we don't need to do Oklahoma A&M. We don't need to just relive the Big 12 completely. Let's have something else in here. Like A&M has 2 class. They get Missouri and Texas, but then they stick with the LSU. Texas gets Arkansas and then has Oklahoma and A&M. So they're like, we want a traditional SEC team with all these Big 12 influx teams matching up somehow. Same with Missouri. Like Missouri and Arkansas also play each other, but then they get Oklahoma and A&M. So there's some Arkansas gets a lot of this flavor from their Southwest Conference days, but it was never going to be perfect when you try to do these 3 rivalry set things every year. So
Arkansas's got a lot of money, so maybe that helps sway a little bit of things.
Probably doesn't.
We give them these marquee matchups, you know.
Probably doesn't hurt. That's for sure. But all right, so let's pick this game. I think Ole Miss wins. I honestly think I'm going 31-23 Ole Miss.
I'll say Ole Miss. I think they will. I'll say Ole Miss 27-17.
Okay, but we both on Ole Miss by more than a score at least. Well, I got 1 score plus 2-point conversion. You got 2 scores. Bama, Georgia. All right, I was surprised to see this spread when I first looked at it today. 2.5 point only favorites for Georgia. Pretty low spread, all things considered. But when you think about it, a lot of the narrative around Alabama, the negativity came, and again, this is why preseason rankings are stupid, because a lot of the negativity around Alabama was, oh my God, they lost to Florida State week 1 by 14. Like, are they cooked? Is this team cooked? Like, do they have any hope? Is Kalen DeBoer not built for the job? XYZ, whatever. Now Florida State's top 10 team. Florida State, like everybody's like, oh, Florida State's the greatest, whatever. So we've completely flipped that, but I feel like the narrative hasn't flipped back enough to giving Alabama at least a little bit of a pass for losing week 1 at a tough team like that, and in a game where, listen, like it started out, it looked worse to start, and Alabama kind of readied the ship as the game went on, right? So that it was whatever. They were number 8. Florida State was unranked to start that week. Alabama hasn't recovered. They're number 17. Florida State is now ranked 8th. So it's not a bad loss to have that game on the road. So only 2.5 point underdogs at Georgia makes me think that Vegas is trying to trick you into picking Georgia, right? Like they want action on this. Like, oh my God, we don't even have to get a field goal for Georgia at home against Bama, who's number 17 and XYZ, whatever. Bama's only plus 115 on the money line, and Georgia is minus 105. Vegas is practically telling us this is a pick'em game, which is crazy when we're talking about a game at a top 5 Georgia team. But that shows me like how much they still believe in what this Bama team can be. And then I had to reassess, like, okay, yeah, like week 1, it was just they got punched in the mouth by a team who's ranked number 8 in the country now. Like, they could go into Georgia and win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they go into Georgia and win this game. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I do think that we are overcorrecting, or there was an overcorrection after week 1 overreactions, everything else, where people just didn't realize how good Florida State was and just wanted to dispatch of Alabama, be like, oh, we love doing this with these dynasties, whether it be in the NFL or college football. Like, oh, they're done, they're dead, we're never going to see them again. XYZ. Well, Bama put up 73-0 on Louisiana Monroe, which is Louisiana Monroe, but 73-0 ain't nothing, and then destroys a inept Wisconsin team 2 weeks ago. That's another key to this. 2 weeks ago, they had a bye coming into this road game here. So I don't know. And I guess Georgia was on a bye last week too, but Georgia in their last game, and I think this is the biggest thing to consider with this. The defense against Tennessee, I mean, it was non-existent, right? Like not what we've seen from Georgia's past. And I don't know. I'm really that line and that money line's really iffy to me, where I'm kind of leaning towards just rolling with Bama and the points here because Vegas seems to think this game's going to be closer than it appears by the rankings and just what the narratives have been for the first month of the season. What do you think, though?
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with what you're saying. And yeah, I mean, we talked about that Georgia-Tennessee game 2 weeks ago. And I said to you, I was like, I'm picking Kirby Smart's defense over Josh Heupel's offense. And when I started watching that game, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm way off. I don't know what I'm talking about because the way that game turned out, this insane high-scoring affair goes to was it overtime or was it double overtime or just one overtime? Might have just been one overtime. But either way, insane game. Kirby's defense still held out. I guess in the end they had more points, but not what we were used to seeing in the past out of Georgia's defense at all. And yeah, Bama's just been battling back. It's interesting. I mean, obviously, like we came in and expected something out of Kalen DeBoer, and last year was like hit or miss or whatever. Would they end up 9-5 last year because they lost their bowl game? I think.
Yeah.
But this is last year an Alabama team with a lot of these same players, not the same quarterback, but a lot of the same players who beat Georgia last year in a crazy high scoring affair. It's plausible. It's like I mean, I don't know. It's crazy how people were ready just to write off Alabama after Saban left. Not like they didn't have this it's established culture. I know a big thing is people looking at is like this team gets a lot of penalties. And that's the thing is obviously not that Nick Saban's teams were they never got penalties, they were perfect, but obviously the culture is not built yet with how DeBoer wants it, and these teams aren't as tidy as he would want them to be, and it's what we expected. But you're looking at probably the greatest college coach of all time and how his system was set up, so it's hard to make comparisons. I don't know. I still would lean Georgia in the game just because I'm not ready to write off Kirby Smart and that defense. Maybe it's just that Tennessee's offense and Joey Aguilar is just amazing, and it's just it's just absolutely legit, and that's why they were able to do that. And Alabama might not be able to move the ball on Georgia, or it's going to be low scoring. But I mean, all of these games are always close battles. So I'm going to stick with Georgia, especially because it's at home. It's a night game. I don't know. It's the 2.5. I don't know. That's it's so weird to pick a score with that where it's 2.5.
That's why they love to do it. That's why they love to do it.
So I would say Bama would. No, I'm not gonna say they cover. I think I'll say Georgia 23-20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like that. I'm trying to see what the handle on this game is at the moment.
What was the score of that game last year?
65% of the bets on Georgia.
Ooh.
I think I'm picking Bama. I'm picking Bama to win this game outright, and I'm picking them to win 27-24. I just it's the defense from like you said, the defense a couple weeks ago, and I think that the market overcorrected. And we're coming back to where Bama is, and this Georgia team just not. I don't know if there's a dominant team in the SEC this year. Truly, maybe Oklahoma. Honestly, maybe they're the team that it is, but who knows?
Mateer,
and John Mateer's out and John Mateer's hurt
or whatever he did to his thumb. He's going to be out at least 3-4 weeks. They said.
Yeah, so I don't think I think the SEC is going to be a scramble by the end of the year with a bunch of teams who are all in the same spot and all have 2-3 losses, and we'll figure it out from there. Yeah. I think Bama gets it done. On the other side of that, which is good news for you and me and my dad as a Penn State fan, 67% of the handle on Oregon to cover the spread at Penn State. So if you want to fade the public there, I mean, that's your spot right there, is just pick Penn State at home for the whiteout and call it a night. But I don't know, man. This is going to be a really, I mean, both these games at 7:30 Eastern, like, talk about a hell of a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a college football fan, you just lock in for these two, put them on, and just have a time.
It'll be good. I'm excited. It's that's a game we're different on, though. I'm riding with Georgia.
We shall see. Yeah, I
mean, our cousin Nino might be happy about one of us. I don't know.
That's okay. I'm just speaking the truth. That's all I'm doing here. I just think that Bama, people have gotten too far down on them. That bet is crazy to me with only a 2.5 point. I'm going to take Bama. I'm going to take the shot here. I really just am not like, I don't think the SEC has I don't know if there's an elite team in the country. Maybe Miami. Like, that's like, I don't know. But other than that, and even them, like, who knows? Like, that game against Florida State is going to be really interesting to see. So I don't know, man. This is going to be a fun college football season, though, because I really don't think there's a dominant team. That's next week, Miami at Florida State.
That's big. That's big.
We're going to learn a lot about the contenders here.
Early to say that's where game day is, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm sure they've already got all the travel plans ready to go and everything. Ole Miss also, I meant to mention this. Their end of October, they go at Georgia, at Oklahoma, back-to-back weeks. So they need this one. Like, if you're going to, like, you can't lose this. If you want to make the playoff and have a chance at the national championship, you got to win the one at home before you have that stretch.
Yeah, you got to win 2 out of 3 of those games at least, I would say.
Yeah. And at least you have to split those. So winning this one is, this is huge for them. But yeah, so the SEC, big SEC Saturday, big Big Ten Saturday. It's going to be we're fully into conference play now. It's going to be good. But Mo, I think we got everything. Is there anything else you wanted to mention, touch on?
Just very quickly, it was a game that we trimmed it because we talked about Notre Dame a lot. But Notre Dame at Arkansas this week, obviously that's a big game and it's a big test if Notre Dame can right the ship fully. But if they drop this one and then the rest of the games that they have down the line, not great. So that's one to look out for. And that's also another SEC team that's scrappy, honestly.
They've been good. They're 2-2, but they only lost by 6 to Ole Miss on the road. Mm-hmm. Not a tough game, not a tough environment, everything else, and then losing by 1 last week at Memphis, a good Memphis team.
Yeah.
They've been in every game. That's a tough trip for Notre Dame to make. Especially it's a noon start, 11 a.m. start actually for both of them. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting game at early. Like, that's the thing, is there's intrigue, national intrigue in every window. You got Notre Dame and Arkansas and USC Illinois at noon. You got Ole Miss, LSU, and Ohio State Washington at 3:30, and then 7:30 you got Georgia Bama and Penn State Oregon. It's going to be a great day of college football. But we're here. We're here every week. Well, hopefully every week, as many weeks as we can. But we'll be back, I think, every week now to break down the slate. So stay tuned here on Not Here to Play School. Stay tuned to everything Trainwreck Sports. Thank you, Alex, for joining along. For Jake Majka, have a great night, folks. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football, and we'll see you next week.